Democrats. Um, since every 10 years the LD numbers change, it's just easier for us and our domain name to go by South Mountain Democrats. Let's see first. Great, we got a few more people trickling in here, but I know them, so if they miss the introduction, that's fine. We'll go ahead and just start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I'll hand it over to one of our first guests here. Can never forget to pledge allegiance to our flag. So, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, let's see here. Our Secretary of State just walked in. Real quick before Adrian comes up. I had the pleasure of going through training with Puente last week. They're doing something similar to what Tanya is doing. They have their own Ice Watch alert network. If anyone is interested in going through that training so that you can be plugged into their network, they do want you to go through training first so that you're doing things the right way and not risking your life or safety. Let me know, because that's not something that we want to put out on the internet necessarily. But I'm more than happy to share that information with anyone who wants it. So without further ado, the man of the evening here is our Secretary of State, Adrian Fontes.
Appreciate it. How's everybody doing? Hello, online world. Don't worry, I'm not going to ignore you guys. Nice to be here, LD11. Fern, it's good to see you back in the fight. And thank you so much for having me. I'm Adrian Fontes. I'm Arizona's 21st Secretary of State. And with your help, I'm going to be able to serve another 4 years after November. What do you think? I'm excited about that. So I want to talk to you a little bit about a couple of things that are happening in the office. And then what I'd like to do is open it up to questions. I hope we'll be able to have somebody monitoring online in case there's questions from the audience there. Because what I want to do is just have a conversation. Oh my God, I just realized I'm not wearing my ring because I lifted weights this morning and I've been without it since. So don't tell my wife. I take it off when I lift weights. I know, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you. And sorry, Nicole, on YouTube, I guess. That's the camera. I want to appreciate that. I want to chat really briefly for those of you that don't know me about my background real fast and my personal story. I am originally from Nogales, Arizona, and I come from a family that's been around since the time of Father Kino, the Spanish missionary. I have an ancestor that heard Mass given by Father Kino in 1695. And so my sense of place, my sense of belonging here in the Sonoran Desert, although this is kind of the northern edge of it, is real, and it's meaningful to me. And so are the people that have come here from all over. Many of my ancestors weren't originally from here. They came from down south, God bless you. They were with the Spanish cavalry. And, they weren't always the nicest folks in the world, but I don't think any of us can say we descend from the angels directly. The bottom line is this: people are what make the place, and the place can help to define the people as well. And there's this wonderful synergy that's involved there. And I genuinely believe that this legislative district is very representative of the state, of its pride, of its struggles, of what makes us really be able to find a place to come together. And that's, I think, what's really important here. And nothing brings people together better than making decisions together, having conversations, and figuring out who it is that we want to be our leaders, how it is that we want to move forward with policy, how it is that we're to progress and advance, and whether we're going to do it with kindness or with cruelty, whether we're going to do it by exercise of power or focusing on those that maybe don't have so much power. That's what elections are about. I liken elections in the United States to that golden thread that runs through the fabric of our society, that binds all the rest of the threads. And those are dependent on our elections. When you think about it, if you're in business or in education or in the arts, sciences, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a civil servant, you look to the constancy, the dependability and the uniqueness of our elections as those moments in time, periodic as they may be, as a moment to possibly exert some power as a person, to make a change if we want to, or to stay the course. But it's our choice and it's our chance. This is the people's exercise. That's what elections are about. But what we're seeing and what we're hearing now, particularly coming out of the chief executive in Washington, D.C., is something a little different. Here's a guy who, before he got elected, said many times and in public, if you vote for me, you're never going to have to vote again. And after getting elected just over a year ago, really started moving towards a systemic and careful erosion of the trust in our elections that really built on the mistrust that had been evoked after the 2020 elections. I feel like these pencils are just kind of getting in on me. First, we saw the dismantling of something that actually, ironically, started under Donald Trump's first administration. And that was the Critical Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA. CISA helps with bridges and roads and dams and utilities. And in 2017, the Elections Administration was declared critical infrastructure in this nation. And during the first Trump administration, CISA really built up, moved forward during the Biden administration, helping us with physical security agents, cybersecurity agents, TTX training building and the execution of that training, helped us with funding certain types of equipment to monitor our election systems at the county level, not just at the state level, helped us with grants, helped us do communication so that if something happened with a piece of election software in Kentucky, the folks in Washington would be able to know immediately and be able to patch their systems. These are the kinds of things that CISA helped us with. And at the beginning of the Trump administration, all of that went away. And then the president issued an executive order, which thankfully has been enjoined by the courts and hasn't gone into effect, but really purporting to try to swoop up power and nationalize sort of the voter registration part of election systems. And then we heard of a proposed executive order that would do more to nationalize elections. And just the other day, you heard it as loudly as I did, the president saying, we should nationalize elections. And here's the interesting thing, and you got to give the guy credit. Here's one person, one sore loser, one guy who's not happy with the fact that he lost in 2020. I'm not talking about me. I lost my reelection in 2022, not me. One person is able to move a giant portion of the country and a giant portion of people in power to his side of grievance. You got to give the guy credit for that. But all those people that he moved, you got to call them out as the cowards that they are. You got to call them out as the folks who are willing to bend at the knee to that one guy. Because here's the thing, even in the state capital space where I operate, they know it's not true. They know there was no stolen election. They know there was nothing wrong with 2020. They know that Donald Trump lost. But he's bent and twisted so many people in a way that is unimaginable up until this point, to the point where we have an executive interfering with what will be the 2020 midterms in a way that we've never seen in a free society ever. Fulton County, Georgia just got raided by the FBI. And if you've seen the warrant like I have, it's filled with the lies and the misrepresentations that have been called and have been shown to be conspiracy theories, unproven. And yet the court signed off on that, giving those FBI agents the power to go and take those ballots. It's amazing what power can do to corrupt the corruptible. And that's what they are. I don't know that any of these people, as a former presidential candidate would say, are deplorable, but they certainly are corruptible, and they've been corrupted. And a lot of these folks are in our state legislature. A lot of these folks are in positions of power across the country, in our judiciary, certainly in the White House. He's the one doing the corrupting, and we have to fight against it. And how do we do that? How do we do that when we have, as a party, this is where it gets a little uncomfortable, folks, so hang on. where we have as a party failed miserably to keep up with the voter registration race over the last 6 to 10 years. Think about it. When I first ran for office in 2016, Democrats were a mere maybe 80,000 voters statewide behind the Republicans in voter registration raw numbers. You know what it is today? 380,000 votes behind. Now, all is not lost. Let's not forget, we've got 2 Democrats in our statewide U.S. Senate seats. We've got a Democrat in the governor's office, the attorney general's office, and you're truly as Secretary of State. But 2026 is a new chance on that very dependable cycle of elections. A new chance to redefine ourselves in a way that I think we would agree would be a positive way, or to go backwards. And so I would implore you to ask yourselves, what's the one thing that we've been failing to do that we need to do, not just in earnest, but with vigor and with maybe the slightest little bit of panic between now and Election Day? We need to register voters. And as Democrats, and not as the Secretary of State, we'll take that hat off for a minute. As Democrats, I don't see any reason in the world why we shouldn't engage directly in partisan voter registration. Find those folks who you believe will end up registering as Democrats and register them. That's what our opponents on the other side of the aisle have been doing for a long time. And they haven't been shy about it. In fact, they've been spending millions and millions of dollars doing exactly that. And shame on us for not meeting that fight. Shame on us for not exercising our own power in that space. But we can still make a difference. And here's why. Because of you. Because of folks like you. Because you care enough to be watching. You care enough to be physically present. You care enough to make that little bit of move away from your comfort zone. And what you're doing just by being here, just by being engaged, is that you're ensuring that we can have some hope that that golden thread is going to keep that fabric woven tightly together so that our society can move forward. Because there are folks out there, led by their leader, who want to pull that golden thread out of the fabric. And what happens if it goes away? The entire fabric of our society disintegrates. The entire fabric disintegrates. Because we will no longer be a place ruled by people. We will no longer be a place ruled by the consent of the governed, and the rule of law will no longer apply. It'll be a free-for-all. And it'll unfortunately fall to the least among us to bear the worst burdens. And we come from communities that understand that all too well and have fought against those disadvantages for far too long. And so what I'm asking you to do is consider not just who it is that's running for office and what letter is behind their name, but what their values are and what you can do to get out of your comfort zone. Because at the end of the day, when you look to the most important moments in our nation's history, it was normal people, regular everyday people that made the difference. Just folks who were going on with their lives and said, you know what? I'm going to make a difference. They made a difference when it came to winning the right to vote for women. They made a difference during the Civil Rights Act. And in both of those moments, people came way out of their comfort zones. Women were dragged through the streets by their hair just so that they could get the right to vote, had dogs loosed upon them. We know what happened at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. But sometimes the smallest voices, with just a little bit of motivation, could sing songs and raise voices that would move a nation. Because, like Fannie Lou Hamer, they were sick and tired of being sick and tired and forced our own Democratic Party not to seat the whites-only delegation from Mississippi. These are the stories that we have inherited, we should relish, understand, and repeat that every single one of those person had to get moved out of their comfort zone. And so while I'm here to ask you to help me get reelected, to make sure that you are all signing my petition on eQual, which, by the way, is up and running well. Thank you very much. I'm also asking you to pitch in a little bit if you can. Talk to Steve in the cool shirt back there. Help us out. Because folks like me who really care, folks like me who are the folks who are, you're going to know where I stand. You're never going to have to second guess me. I want to serve. I want to continue to serve because this is a good fight. And I like John Lewis asked, I'm happy to get into good trouble. And I think you are too. So come on along, help me get reelected. And while I know we're pushing up against time, I'm happy to let you guys answer a couple of questions if you've got, or me answer a couple of questions if you've got any, and I'll be super quick. So thank you so much. I'm Adrian Fontes, and with your help, I will stay Arizona's 21st Secretary of State. Appreciate you. Thank you. Any question?
Shannon Richmond.
Shannon. Hello, Shannon.
So her question is, can you share what reforms or oversight mechanisms you're pursuing to ensure that election-related legislation is transparent, ethical, and resistant to manipulation?
So Sharon, thank you for that question. What I'm going to do is ask everyone to go to azvotersfirstact.com, ArizonaVotersFirstAct.com. That website is going to show what the Voters First Act that we've proposed has. It's got 10 pieces of legislation that I think are incredibly important in a package. It speaks to going back to the permanent early voter list, which is a really important piece of access. It goes to continuing on and funding continuous ERIC membership for Arizona, which means we get to keep cleaning our voters list, which you'll see a story about that real soon. And if you go home and watch Arizona Horizon tonight, the interview I did with Ted Simons, we broke some news about that. It asks for some continuous funding for information technology security. So we're not just cleaning our voter rolls, but we're making sure the information technology systems are secure, and several other components that are good for voters, including funding for continuous email and text messages that you all get to show that your ballot's coming to you and is heading back to the election department, which, by the way, is going to go away just this year because we just don't have money for it. So unfortunately, it may not be available in November. I hope that answers your question, Shannon. Appreciate you. Yes, ma'am.
So what are the right?
Yeah.
How from a voter registrar to go to our neighbors, to go to events and get them registered to vote, because people will have issues with the AZ, DMV now. How do we help them in paper form?
Okay, so first, there's several ways to do it, and we've made it easy. Okay, you don't have to be a deputy registrar to register voters. Okay, you can do training here among yourselves if you'd like. That is a thing that we brought back when I was county recorder, just so that people could get that extra training that they felt like they needed. But that's no longer mandatory, number one. Number two, the online voter registration, Arizona was the first in the country to have that, is still very robust. And while it ain't perfect, it's good. It's real good. And if you already have a driver's license and you've already shown your proof of citizenship, that's going to automatically pick up from the motor vehicle division. So that's a very positive thing. And LD11 proper can get what we've created at the Secretary of State's office called a unique URL. The unique URL program allows you to log into that system with that URL and register voters under LD11's moniker. And then you get, instead of having to bring back paper, transcribe it, get the information, we'll give you the information off of the electronic system so that you can follow up with and chase those voters as time moves forward. Contact Selena Olivas in the Secretary of State's office to create that for your organization. Trust me, the GOP is already all over it. Okay. Now, as far as paper is concerned, this is one of the bigger concerns, but I think it's really important. Follow up, follow through, follow along. You got to follow up with the county recorder's office and your voters. When you get a paper registration and you pick that data up off of that before you turn it into the county recorder's office, it is on you to follow up. That's your job. If you're not doing it electronically where we just give you the information, you got to get it done. You got to go back and ask them at least within 5 to 6 weeks later, hey, did you get your voter registration card? Did you get a letter back asking for more information? How does that all work for you, the voter? But the important thing is, that's just not just about following up on voter registration. It's following up on that person. And you get that person-to-person touch to make sure that you're following up with them. And then the follow-through becomes voter education. It becomes chase of ballots. It becomes helping them be in contact with their elected officials, not just at the PC level, but also at the city council, with the county board, with any of these other school district offices, that you can help these folks manage their way through the complicated milieu of government officials, that you know who they are. Because that's what the party is supposed to do. You're supposed to help your neighbors navigate government. At the end of the day, if you don't know who your JPs are and you don't know who those precincts are, learn. If you don't know who your school district members are in the districts that your LD is encompassed with, you got to figure that out. You're responsible for your voters. You're responsible for helping them navigate all this stuff. That's the great challenge. We're not just here to hang out. We're here to do work. We're here to be uncomfortable. If you want to be comfortable, if you want to just hang out and live your life and watch all the rest of what's going on out there go on, and I know what you were talking about before I showed up here, that's fine. But if that's the space you want to be in, I'm very jealous of your privilege. Because that means with all the things that are happening in the world, you're just okay. And I'm jealous of that. And I don't think a lot of people fit that category. Thank you for that question. One more question. Steve's got it. I'm going to go to somebody else if nobody else has one. Right here in front. I'm sorry. I'll get you. Maybe you real quick.
Stay back passing through the House today, and if you have any encouragement or advice on those of us who might be worried about voting rights being impacted in Arizona?
Well, look, the SAVE Act doesn't have an impact on Arizona. We've been looking for documented proof of citizenship for 20 years here. We've got voter ID laws. So all the stuff that they're worried about in the rest of the states, Arizona's been dealing with. And this is one of the ways where, I'm in an interesting position, because I believe that Arizona's system works really, really well. I also believe it's a little overburdensome, but it still works well. I got elected. Ruben got elected, Mark got elected, Katie got elected, Chris got elected statewide, right? And so, what do we have to complain about here in Arizona? Not much. The caution for the rest of the country is this: you got policy and procedure that don't often mesh. You got data systems that could be problematic. We've already seen that even here, right? You've got all kinds of ways that things were built. And then you've got folks over here asking for those systems to do something different than what they were built for. Now that gets into the nitty gritty a little bit. I'm not really too worried about it. But we've already got voter ID. That's the law. I'm down with that. We've already got documented proof of citizenship. That's the law. I'm down with that. And we've already got Democrats that can win statewide and can win in districts. And I think we can do really well. So where we're at right now is okay with me. You had one. Well, let's do that real quick, and then I'll cut.
Steps are taken to taking voter awareness along some of the local such as school boards.
Well, sadly, I can tell you the state's not doing a damn thing to help voters understand their government, understand the time, place, and manner of their elections, unless it's mandated by statute. And even then, we're struggling to get funded to do the job that we're mandated to do. It's as if the folks that are holding the purse strings don't want the electorate to be educated. They don't want the electorate to understand. It's as if they're holding back information. And here's why I don't like that. Because if you genuinely say that you believe in the voice of the people, then you ought to try to hear the voice of as many of the eligible people to speak as possible. Because only then do you have a true feel for what everybody who's eligible thinks. And I say who's eligible because not everybody's eligible. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're not lesser. They just don't fall into that category. That's okay. The bottom line is this: when the state tells us we need to do something, and they've got an activity that allows them to hear the real voice of all of Arizona, but they're cutting some people out on purpose because they're not funding communication, or they're not funding this, or they're not funding that, That means they don't really want to hear everybody. That means their policies are terrible for a lot of people and they don't want those voices heard. And that means they're gaming the system. So we're talking about a resource battle. It's always about follow the money. You know that. I'm just one of the few people that's willing to come right out and say it. And I'll end on this. First, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you for your support, not just monetary for my campaign. Please max out if you can. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, if you can, seriously. Make sure folks are signing those equal petitions. We're getting real close. And I'd really love to kind of get there. But more than anything, don't lose hope. Y'all, this country's been through a lot. And while I will give it to you, the suffering, the unnecessary bullshit that so many people are going through right now, including getting executed out in the streets, is unconscionable and horrific. We've been through globally worse. I feel good about what the future looks like. I feel terrible that we're going to have to continue through some suffering till we get over this. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you guys are the ones that are powering that light. Keep up the good work. Keep supporting the folks you believe in, and we're going to find a better day. Thank you for having me, everybody. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody online. Thank you. No. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Secretary Fontes. Tapping my watch. He's one of my favorite public speakers, so tapping my watch at him was very hard to do. So some of the things he spoke about, voter registration, how important that is. We do have some initiatives coming up that will require us to do some phone banking and door knocking. So we are going to be needing volunteers for that. So anyone interested, please let me know. You can reach out to me directly through chair@southmountaindems.org, or you can email info@southmountaindems.org. But they've been waiting patiently, and this is an important topic to me as well, the national popular vote. Let me pull up your presentation. Oh, that's this gentleman. Perfect. I thought that was you guys.
How you doing? Oh, do the whole mic thing?
Yes, we've got viewers. Actually, Patrick, how many people are in the Zoom meeting?
11.
All right.
11 viewers. Perfect. All right. I've got your PowerPoint here.
That's right.
I got my mouse, unfortunately, so.
All right. Everyone can hear me online. This is good. Great. I won't ignore you guys online either. My name is Jeremy Browning. I'm a PC from LD8 Rotary Park in Tempe. And part of my work as a consultant here in the state of Arizona is I work for a project called the National Popular Vote State Compact. And so what we're doing is going around to LDs around the state and informing PCs, committee members, et cetera, about what national popular vote is, why it's important here in Arizona, our progress to date, and how close we are in this country to changing the way that we elect the president of the United States. So by a show of hands, is anyone familiar with what the National Popular Vote State Compact is? One. All right. 1.5. Together with John, that's 2. 2.5. We would know this a lot more if we had a different president of the Senate, of the Arizona Senate in 2016. Because in 2016, there was a bipartisan bill. It was passed in the Arizona State House, supported by Republicans and Democrats, that would have enacted the National Popular Vote State Compact for Arizona. It passed with a supermajority vote, and then it was shelved by the president of the Senate. President of the Senate at that time, his name is Andy Biggs. And he's currently running to be the governor here of Arizona. So what is the National Popular Vote State Compact? Simply put, it is a state compact, which is an agreement among states that will guarantee that the candidate who receives the most popular votes will become president of the United States. Right now, the Electoral College is a winner-take-all system, which means that if you win an entire state, you get all the electoral votes, except for 2 states. 2 states apportion their Electoral College votes via congressional districts. And why is this important in Arizona? Why is this important for the country? Well, it turns out when you do a winner take all system, which is not embedded in the Constitution, it was not discussed in the Federalist Papers. What it does is it makes every vote not equal. What National Popular Vote State Compact rests upon, the foundation is one person, one vote, and everybody's vote is equal. And the way that this state compact would work is that once we get enough states to sign on to the state compact to equal 270 electoral college votes, the compact is triggered. And then at the next presidential election, there will be enough votes, electoral college votes, from all of those states that will guarantee that the president running for the United States that wins the national popular vote, that gets more votes than the other individual, will become the president of the United States, because all of those states that signed onto the compact will give their electoral college votes to the national popular vote winner. What this doesn't do, this doesn't get rid of the electoral college. While the winner take all system is not in the Constitution, the electoral colleges, and that would require a constitutional amendment. This is a way to use the existing system that we have right now and reach the same end by electing the president the same way that we elect every other elected official, like Secretary Fontes that we just saw here, like your state reps, Congress, etc. You have to win 50% plus one vote to win every elected office in the country except for the president. The president, we use this convoluted system related to the electoral college. So I'm going to walk through the history of this, where we're at, and share some exciting news. So first, this is a list of supporters for National Popular Vote. National Popular Vote has been going on for nearly 25 years. We've done outreach in 18 states. It's been adopted by 18 states. We're at 209 electoral college votes, and our number is 270. And we're getting very, very close. These are the allies here on the national level that have supported National Popular Vote, either by lobbying for it in their state legislatures or issuing support for it on the national level. This is an example of why, the next couple of slides are examples of why this is important and why the structural winner-take-all system really isn't working. You guys probably noticed that we're a battleground state and we get a lot of attention. But when you're a battleground state, you don't get any attention. You become a flyover state. And what happens when you become a flyover state is, I'll get over here, your issues are less important. And that's the majority of the country. The majority of the country is not important when it comes to presidential election. It only comes down to a couple battleground states. And this is an example of all the presidential visits during campaigns here. So this is an example of Pennsylvania, current battleground state. 5 visits in 2012, 54, 47, 62. And then here's an example of Ohio and Florida. A lot of us here remember when Ohio and Florida were battleground states. Well, guess what? They're not battleground states anymore. And the interest in presidential candidates that visit these places has dropped off significantly. Virginia, except for just a couple years. Virginia was a battleground state, but before that and then after that now, it's not really a battleground state. Virginia is going to be important for a little bit later here. People ask what is the legal mechanism that allows the National Popular Vote State Compact to be enacted? The Constitution allows states to appoint their electors to the Electoral College as they see fit. They have something called plenary authority to do this. And this is evident because we have 2 states that appoint their Electoral College votes via their congressional district. So if you win that congressional district, then the Electoral College votes associated with that would go to the presidential candidate that won that district. And that hasn't been challenged. But once we enact, not if, but once we enact National Popular Vote, we expect it to be challenged. And we already have that litigation brief written. So this is where we're at right now. It's a little hard to see up here, but we've had multiple states that have enacted this. We're at 18 jurisdictions. We're at 209 electoral college votes. As a reminder, we need 270. Arizona is this orange color on here, which indicates that we've had a passage of 1 legislative chamber. We had it passed here in the House. The next orange on here, Virginia. The news is Virginia 2 days ago passed National Popular Vote in the state Senate by 22 to 19 votes. All Democratic members in the Virginia State Senate voted to support national popular vote. They have a strong legislative majority in the House, and they expect national popular vote to be taken up this year. So when Virginia adopts this, if and when Virginia adopts this, that will bring our 209 number up to 222. And we are, at that point, we're looking at Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Arizona. And that's why I'm here. National popular vote is popular. This is a Pew poll, not paid for by National Popular Vote. They poll this independently on their own. And you can see this year we're at 63% support. When you have 63% support for an issue in the United States, it's a very popular issue. That means you cross over, you get a large crossover majority of voters, and those are the voters that win and swing elections. This shows you an example of Republicans and Democrats that support national popular vote. You can Google this and it will come up on the Pew poll here. 87% of what we would consider liberal Democrats, what I would consider Democrats that come to LD meetings, that become PCs, that go out and walk and register their neighbors. 87% of Democrats support national popular vote. Overall, in total, 80%. Moderate, liberal, conservative, 61% support national popular vote. That's a telling sign right there. Who's our opposition? It's these groups. You might have heard of them: Republican National Committee, the Heritage Foundation, Eagle Forum, Save Our States, Conservative Action Project, ALEC. All these conservative organizations, a lot of them are tied together via funding, have opposed national popular vote. And Save Our States is our main opposition. They employ a lobbying team to they dispatch them to every state where they see national popular vote trying to pass. And their goal in most of these states is to pick off one person. And that's why we're doing events like this, because when we get the opportunity to run national popular vote in Arizona, we don't want it to go down by one vote. We want to make sure everyone, every state lawmaker, PCs, state committeemen, everyone is engaged, and every interested group that is related to voting is engaged and informed about national popular vote. We have a bunch of cartoons here that I'm not going to go through and explain, because all these cartoons, while very nice, were made a while ago because we've been doing this for quite a while. But what I'll leave you with is we've had misses. And we all know we've had misses because we've had two misses in the most recent history. The Gore-Bush election, and most recently, the first Trump election. What happens if the Electoral College is tied? Well, then the president gets picked by the U.S. House of Representatives. And the way things are going today, some people don't think that's a great idea. If it could even happen, if they can even organize to get it together to pick a president. I'm happy to take a couple questions. You guys have a lot on your agenda. But I want to say one thing. I have books. This is the most well-researched issue. Free available books. They serve two purposes. One, they will walk through every argument against national popular vote, and it uses data, science, arguments to show you why it's wrong. Common arguments are, well, this is only big states that are going to select the president. This is only big cities that are going to select the president. Turns out the American population is almost evenly split between large cities and small cities when you actually run the math and look at it. It doesn't advantage any big states. It doesn't advantage blue states over red states. What it does is advantages everyone, gives them the same level playing field for their vote. Your vote is not weighted more in a competitive state. It's not weighted less in a state that's a flyover state. Every vote from here, a Democrat in Arizona, to a Republican in Oregon, to, I don't know, a Democrat in Alabama, all of our votes would be the exact same. The second purpose is these are a great alternative to sleeping medicine. You read a couple pages of this, you'll fall right asleep. Can I ask or answer any questions? Anybody online? If anyone wants books online, I can leave a couple copies if you have someone in the room. Yes. Yes. That's a good question. That's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that question. I know. Oh, I forgot. I left out the most important thing. Last year, we filed 2 bills in the Arizona State Legislature. The entire Senate Democratic caucus signed on to one bill to enact national popular vote in Arizona, and 25 out of 27 Democrats signed on to it in the Arizona House of Representatives. This year, we filed 2 more bills. All 13 members of the Democratic caucus and the Senate signed on to it, and all 27 members of the Arizona House Democratic caucus signed on to it. So all we need is 4 seats in the House and 2 seats in the Senate. 3 seats in the Senate. 4 seats. Yeah. Can I answer any other questions? Can I give a bunch of books?
So a question online is from Mitchell Rubin. He asks, can it be passed by statewide initiative?
Yes, it can. This is a good point. So in Colorado, national popular vote was enacted, and then it was referred to the ballot, and it was approved by the voters in Colorado. We are ballot tested. We are ballot tested here in the West. I expect that to probably happen here if we were to pass it, depending on the mechanics and the funding of the opposition. If they want to invest millions of dollars into a campaign to collect signatures and to run an initiative against it, it's very hard to argue against one person, one vote, and everybody's vote is equal. That line is very simple. It's very hard to explain the Electoral College and how it benefits people these days. I appreciate everyone's time. Thanks for coming out. The only thing I would point out is they moved up the primary election. And so if you're collecting your PC signatures, I think they moved up our deadline for all that. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
You're all right. You're right. It's all right. Thank you. All right. So you can see why I thought that was important to share. It would be amazing if the Electoral College was just moot. Okay, so let's see here. Now, just a few things to go over. Treasurer's report. Our treasurer couldn't be here, so I'll just go through our numbers real quick. Whoops. Why is it moving forward without my consent? Okay. Let's see. Our total income for January was $859. Expenses were $150. We have not paid for this space last month, so that should be $250, but it isn't yet. Additionally, let's see here. Our balance at the end of January was just shy of $6,000. I'm sorry, at the beginning of January, and at the end it was $6,331. So let's see, our income came largely from the Contest Every Race grant. We get $200 a month, and they pay that out quarterly. So that was a big part of it. We've got $200 from our Act Blue donations. Those come from, I want to say, 15 or so recurring donors. So thank you to our recurring donors. Our raffle cash donation, we made $40 off of that. In fact, we are going to do our 50-50 raffle tonight. So if anyone wants to buy in, you'll get half the pot, and the other half goes to help us pay for this space. The nominations are $2 a ticket or 3 for $5. So buy a lot of them to improve your odds of winning a bigger pot and help us pay for this space. T-shirt donation. We also have our t-shirts, which are $20. I'm sorry, they're free with a $20 donation. So, and then our expenses are mainly for our website and email, Zoom, and then snacks that we bought last month that carried over to this month. All right. Coming up on Saturday, February 21st, which is in 10 days, we are having a booth at the Levine Barbecue. That is going to be co-sponsored by MCDP. That costs over $400 for that booth.
Question on the shirts.
Yes.
Did we increase the larger size inventory on the t-shirts?
Yes.
We will have more very soon. We're waiting for the order to come in. So the space at the barbecue costs over $400. MCDP is splitting that with us. That's still very expensive. So please help us pay for things so that we can reach more voters and have a good time. That is going to be 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Cesar Chavez Park. You can register to volunteer. There's 3 shifts. They're 2 hours each. I've registered for the first 2 myself. I know some of our other board members have registered. Engage with the community, help register voters, and eat some barbecue. Let's see, last month we did the Levine Parade, which you can see here. We increased our PC count to 89 people. We had our book club meeting. Our book club, our book this month is called Outclassed: How the Left Lost the Working Class and How to Win Them Back. I've been very impressed so far. It's had kind of an impact on the way that I look at my own brother, who considers himself to be working class or blue collar. And because I have a college education, this book has helped me realize how I look at him and how he looks at me as elite. And it's very interesting to see how that dynamic works and how common that is. So I recommend that book. And we'll be meeting next Sunday at Brewhouse Coffee at 3 p.m. Our monthly happy hour, we have that every month. That'll be on the 20th at Native Grill and Wings at 6 p.m. Levine Barbecue, of course. We have our Mormon Trail hike, which is backed by popular demand from John. And lots of canvassing coming up. In fact, I do have the petition this Sunday. Janelle Cavero and Yasmin Ansari will be going door to door collecting signatures. So if you're interested in that, they'll be meeting at Collective Coffee on Sunday at 4 to 6 p.m. or at 4, and then canvassing until 6. I'm sure there's other candidates like Isaac who will be wanting to canvass. We have a young man here, Sebastian Mata, who is collecting signatures here tonight. I'll give you a moment to speak at the end here, Sebastian. And of course, we need to talk about PC signatures. So the primary date, as the other gentleman mentioned, has been moved up. That the governor just signed that law into, signed that bill into law. So the new primary date was moved from August 4th until July 21st, which means that due dates for turning in signatures has been moved up by about 2 weeks. So that counts for PCs who are collecting signatures, counts for candidates for every single office in the state. What's up, Mitch?
So we need to collect signatures, right? And where do we get the sheets?
I believe do we have some of those sheets or just the write-in ones? So we have some for write-ins. There's the write-in option as well. If you don't have the time to collect signatures, then we have the write-in process. The way that works is, and this would be a cool problem to have, it's not going to be a problem for us, except in one precinct, right? So if your precinct has hit the limit, because each precinct has a certain amount of PCs it can have, if your precinct hits that limit, then the write-in candidates don't get on the ballot. Only the ones who collected signatures. But if your precinct is not at that limit, then everyone basically don't even get on the ballot really, because there's no election process if not all the seats are put in. So most precincts don't have to worry about it, signatures or write-in, and you will become a PC automatically. We can discuss that if there's any questions on PCs. What's up?
So I guess if we're a current PC, right, do we need to get signatures?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're a current PC, it's every 2 years.
Yeah.
You got to become a PC again. So.
Yeah, so either you got to do the signatures or write-in. So, but you basically have to be re-elected every time.
So the MCDP wants us to turn in our signatures by February 27th.
So technically, they base the number on the number of Democrats in a particular area. it often works out for most of our precincts to being the magic number being 10. There's actually a couple of precincts where magic number is 5, just because the population. So, right, right in some areas of town, it's like 15 or 20, just based on just that concentration of voters.
And they have to be signatures from in precinct, right?
Yes, it has to be Democrats from your
Or
precinct
independents.
or independents, and you can sign your own. So technically, you really only need to go meet 9 of your neighbors, and in some precincts, less than that. So it's a fairly simple process, and if you need a list of Democrats in your area, we can provide that.
I'll email you.
Okay, please, yeah, email me at chair@southmountaindems.org. We'll get you a list.
Can I throw out a cheat sheet part?
I'm sorry, there's 2 people talking. Patrick.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw out just a little bit of a sheet. If you're kind of the position I'm in, my job kind of has me travel a lot, so I'm not as able to be as active, like not gonna deal with my neighbors and stuff. So I'm gonna more than likely do a write-in, but what I've always told folks is if, hey, you're gonna collect your signatures, and you realize, oh crap, something came up or whatnot, and you couldn't get all your signatures, just have a write-in handy. You can't turn one in. You can't turn in half your signatures to go, I'm gonna write in, they won't let you do that. But if you want to have it as an insurance policy in case you realize, okay, I'm not gonna get my 10 because of whatever reason, then you can file as a write-in candidate so you're still covered.
Yes.
I think that explains what precincts are here, because I'm new. I used to be in Sun Lakes. And I know what precinct I was there, but now that I'm in Levine, I don't know what precinct.
So for our online viewers, the question was, how do I know what precinct I'm in? There is a website you can go to where you just type in your address. It'll tell you every single district, whether that's school district, congressional district, legislative, etc., including your precinct. And then you can also find a map if you basically search Arizona precinct map LD11 or something like that. You can also email me and I'll provide you that information. So it all depends on how much research you want to do. Okay. Any other questions on that process? PCs, we cannot give lists of Democratic voters to candidates. That is not allowed. We can give lists to our PCs. So if you want to help out the candidates and be a good PC, you can ask me for a list and I will give that to you and you can help them collect signatures in your precinct.
Pastor, this is Dave Braun. Can I make a suggestion?
Was there something from the back? BeBallotReady.vote. And then you, thank you.
Yeah, Chester?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the
Chester.
whole PC thing. And then again, I'm not sure what other candidates might be canvassing soon. I know that Isaac is canvassing probably every weekend. He's running for Phoenix School Board. And then I know this Sunday, Yasmin and Janelle will be canvassing as well. And then we'll have our voter registration canvassing soon. We were given a list from MCDP of unregistered voters in the district. That's based off of consumer data. It's not the most reliable, but it's a great place to start with targeted voter registration instead of just showing up places and hoping you meet someone who's not registered and that they're also a Democrat. Yes. Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, join us on Discord. That's another thing. Like, we can disseminate information much quicker to anyone who's on Discord. You can share it with us. We can share it with everyone, or you can just share it with everyone yourself who's on Discord. But often anything that I'm sent, I will pass over to our communications guy, who will then post it on socials or send it out in our newsletter or something like that. So we try to get that out as quick as we can. Unfortunately, I can forget sometimes to pass that on, which I've done that once or twice. So,
Then we get the dance cam going like that. Talk to the chair.
yeah, that's on me. That's all I have. Does anyone from my board want to share anything else before I open the floor to new business? Okay, I will pass this on. Sebastian, would you like to speak?
Of course.
Please.
Howdy, y'all. So my name's Sebastian Mata, but I go by Seb, so you can go ahead and call me that. It's like in little parentheses there. Hi, guys. So I'm running for clerk of the Superior Court of Maricopa County. I'm an 18-year-old college freshman. I'm studying philosophy over yonder at ASU. So this wasn't too bad of a drive to me as compared to some other ones. I'm going to Wickenburg in about a week, so that's going to be a fun drive. I have to miss our. I'm in ROTC as well, Army. So I don't think I'm gonna. It's not exactly my calling in life, but I enjoy it. I enjoy going to work out in the mornings, and I had to call off to go to Wickenburg. They weren't too happy about that, but what can you do? So I'm running mainly on 2 platforms. So I really want to try to increase awareness of what exactly it is the clerk's office does. So I noticed that it's kind of obscure what exactly it is, and it takes some digging to learn exactly what it is they do. So I really want to go to wherever people are, right? Not only Democrat LD meetings, but I want to go anywhere where people gather. I want to be there and explain it. So that could be Masonic lodges, Elk Society. I really want to go to high schools and middle schools, and career days, and really go and explain to these kids what exactly it is the courts do, and to really spark some kind of interest in them, So I wanted to be a lawyer, and I did speech and debate when I was in high school. So that's what sparked my interest in it. And I really want to be the spark that some of these kids get to, man, I really want to practice the legal field, or man, I really want to run for office. I want to do youth engagement in government. Secondarily, I also see an issue with the Maricopa County Clerk of the Superior Court's website. That is the fact that it's only in English and there are no translation services available. So there are actually. So if you go to the About section of the website, which is on the top right corner, and then you go to translation services, they have a little section which is only in Spanish, which explains to you how you can get some kind of translation services. And I'm bilingual. I'm an Argentine American. My dad is Argentine, but my mom is Venezuelan. And I speak fluent English and Spanish. And I noticed that the clerk's website is only in English, while other websites in our county, for example, Maricopa County Elections or the city of Maricopa over down south, they have all sorts of languages available. So they've got Arabic, simplified and traditional Mandarin Chinese, French, Spanish, all sorts of languages, while the clerk of the Superior Court does not. And I feel like the clerk is very unique in the fact that everyone interacts with it, regardless of whether or not you're a citizen or you speak English and Spanish. Everyone winds up needing to access court records. And that is a big issue for me. I see that, I went through it with my parents who, were undocumented for a period of time. And they were very scared to interact with the courts. So for them to have to go make an appointment is terrifying. So I really want to try to expand these access for these people, especially, in the South, rural, and west sides of Maricopa County, where there's a lot of people who just don't speak English and might only speak Arabic or Spanish or French. So those are the 2 issues that I'm really deeply passionate about. And my main issues at the moment are getting my signatures. So currently, we actually just today hit 1,000 signatures, which is a big milestone. But we need 4,053 in order to appear on the primary ballot by, of course, March. And that's a big monumental task. So if you look over there where the MacBook is, that's where my e-qual petitions are currently set up. That's obviously, of course, the preferred method, but I've also got paper back there. And I really, really, really just need signatures. I've got an ActBlue and an Instagram, but that's secondary. I don't come up here begging you for money, because not only is it a down ballot election where money isn't exactly the highest priority, but I can't spend the money unless I'm on the primary, right? So I really need those equals. Overall, that's about it. And I love answering questions. I would do Congress in high school, and my favorite part wasn't exactly the speaking, it was the cross-examination. Of course, here I'm not going to be as aggressive, but I love answering questions. So if you look at my, I'm sorry I'm going a bit over, but if you look at my statement of committee, you'll see that I'm a one-man show. I am my own candidate. I am my own secretary. I am my own treasurer. I am a one-man show. So if you write to my email that is on my e-qual, you will get a personalized response from yours truly. It will not be from a campaign manager that is going to be siphoning for my donations. That response will be from yours truly. So I'm down to earth. That's the kind of guy I want to be. I want to be down to earth, and I want to be here and representing you guys. So please, questions. My major, I'm a philosophy of law, politics, and morality major. It's a mouthful. And I like to joke a lot with my friends that I'm a thinking major. And yeah, that's my major. I wanted to be a lawyer. I tell people I want to be a lawyer. And, I'm just really committed to this office. If I were to be elected, I would probably take a gap semester and then I would transfer to online once I've got the rungs of it. Because I know that a lot of people, specifically Jacob George, I don't know if any of you guys know him, he's a great guy. He told me that he did online, and I think I'm gonna have to do that because I'm not gonna drop out. Obviously, I need an education. Anything else? It's a great question. My dad, he's an investigator for a law firm that specializes in auto accidents. So I've kind of grown up around car crash and injury. But honestly, wherever I wind up, even in 6 months, my life can radically change. So Lord knows in 7. Are there anything online? I hope not.
No question.
No questions? All right. Last call for questions. Perfect. All right. Thanks, guys. Over there. I'll get them to you.
Okay. Then we can call an adjournment. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming out.